Alright, so today I'm going to be reviewing The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien. And I gotta say, this was a great book. It was a lot better than I was expecting it to be. It was a very interesting book with a very interesting beginning, kind of just how the story came to be, just, before it was even a book. So way back when Tolkien was a professor at Oxford, before he was really an author at all, I believe he had had a couple poems published in like some small magazines, but he wasn't really an author. Um, he was just grading assignments one day, and he came across a blank sheet of paper, and he just kind of doodles a little sentence on the paper, and he writes, "In a hole in the ground there lived a hobbit." And from that sentence, I think it was 2 years later, he was finished with The Hobbit. And then he took quite a long time writing The Lord of the Rings. But just from that little sentence came some of the most influential writing that ever came to be. Um, and here's the first part of it, The Hobbit. And so yeah, like I said, I didn't even really want to read The Hobbit originally. I knew I wanted to read The Lord of the Rings, and I figured, The Hobbit, it's not very long, comes first, why not? But I enjoyed it a lot more than I was expecting to. One of the biggest things why I wasn't really looking forward to reading this was that it's from I believe it was published in 1937. It's a long time ago. I was really expecting kind of the writing, the way it was written, to just be really unapproachable and not fun to read. But Tolkien's writing style was actually really pleasant. He has a great way of writing prose. It's really pleasant to read. It's very almost sing-songy. There's a lot of songs in it. That was something I thought was interesting. Every it felt like every couple of pages there was like a song break where he would like write a song. So that was kind of interesting. But it is a very pleasant writing style, and it definitely was a little kind of hard to get into at times just because it was written in 1937. But it was a lot more fun to read than I was expecting it to be. And then from that, I guess I guess spoiler alert if you haven't read The Hobbit, um, you probably or you don't know the story. I guess I'm gonna be spoiling a few things. But then from that, just some of the like parts of the book that I really like. I really enjoyed the way that Tolkien wrote the book. He wrote it in a way as if he was like telling the story to someone. That was kind of the voice that he used. He was just it wasn't even like he was trying to pretend like it was real. He was writing it like it was fake. It was a fake story. Like he was just telling it. And I really enjoyed that. Yeah, he would often talk to the reader, like, directly to the reader and say like, "Oh, hobbits are really short compared to people," and just stuff like that. And I just really enjoyed that. That is a lot better than I was expecting. And then just in terms of a lot of like plot points, like Tolkien was really funny. He actually had a lot. Some of these things I don't know if they were like supposed to be funny. I think they were supposed to be funny. I don't know if it's just kind of funny because I'm looking at it today. But like just some of the things like when at the very beginning when all the dwarves are coming to Bilbo's house, and Bilbo is talking. He's thinking to himself. He has to be polite. And every dwarf that comes to his house, he has to offer him some cake. Because that's just what you do if you're polite. And he's thinking to himself, he's like, if these dwarves keep coming, I might not have any cake for myself. And I just thought that was so funny. Like that was a funny little thing for Bilbo to be worried about. And then and then this next part that I liked, I definitely I found it pretty funny, but I don't think it was supposed to be funny at the time. But when Bilbo when he meets Gollum in the cave, when he meets Gollum for the first time, Gollum like wants to eat him or kill him at least. And the way that Bilbo kind of talks his way out of it is they have like a riddle off. They like tell each other riddles back and forth, and if like you know Bilbo can like tell Gollum a riddle that he can't answer, then he stumps him. But just the idea, like you couldn't imagine something like that being in a book today, just because people don't know riddles off the top of their head. I could maybe, if I had to, think of like two, three riddles, but they go on for a while, several pages of just riddles back and forth, and I found that really interesting, just the fact that that was in there. Um, and then one of my favorite parts was at the very end. Everything's over. Bilbo's coming back to the Shire, and he gets back to his house, and all the other hobbits thought he was dead, so they were auctioning off all of his things. And it's just such a weird way to end it. I just was not expecting that. Like, you think the story's over, he gets back, they're auctioning off his things, and then it says that he afterwards like a legal battle um took place where he was like trying to get himself recognized as being alive again. It was such an unexpected little twist because the story was pretty much over. You know, all the stuff with the dragon and the treasure that was over, and it's just such a weird way to end the story. Just he's, you know, presumed dead, I guess. Just I guess it just kind of goes to show that what transition it was in Bilbo's character. Just, you know, because at the beginning Bilbo was a very, you know, not an adventurous person whatsoever, and then, you know, like, obviously goes on this adventure and a lot of character growth ensues. But it was just I just thought that was a really funny little bit at the end. But yeah, overall, I think that this was a really good book, and I think you know, if you, especially if you enjoyed the Lord of the Rings, you know, if you like the movies, especially if you read the books, you should definitely read The Hobbit. A lot of characters from Lord of the Rings are in The Hobbit. Um, but no, this was a great book, and I would recommend it for people who want to read kind of just because, you know, Lord of the Rings, I feel like they get, you know, gets a lot of the credit for being you know, some of the most influential piece of fantasy of all time, but The Hobbit inspired the Lord of the Rings, so I feel like, you know, maybe The Hobbit, you know, like, should get a little bit of credit there too. But yeah, overall, I enjoyed the book. I probably don't see myself reading it again, at least not anytime soon. Just because the plot, you know, it's not super. You know, you can kind of expect most of the things that happen. But overall, I did really enjoy The Hobbit.